what I went into the locker room and talked about was just, this is a process, right? Like we just started practicing on Sunday, so they were pretty down. But they've got to understand, like we did some really good things, but this is when you fix things. Like you play these games so you can fix some of the things. We didn't do our pick and roll schemes on the side as well as we've been doing them. Got to work on that. Our transition defense, I thought we were okay. Late, we gave up some buckets late that really hurt us. Melissa Smith getting to the free throw line 13 times, that's a positive. I think we only had 14 assists, that can't happen. I think we missed some easy buckets that would probably put us at like 20 or 21, which is kind of more where we'd want to be. Overall, I mean, I thought Caitlin came out. I mean, I'm glad she got, she got some shots up. She was able to hit some big shots. But we're still flowing. I mean, they're still learning each other. I think she works really hard to get some shots that she doesn't have to work as hard for anymore.
Chloe, go ahead.
Yeah, you've talked about the 26 close games last season, and this was another one of them. Just what changes do you think you need to make to get over the hump?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have Katie Lou and Kelsey and Christy Wallace in that second half, and then Demirs Dantas when she gets here. That's going to help. But our goal was to play everybody tonight. Our goal was to make sure people got a look. There were some lineups that weren't great for us. We kind of went in a lull when we had that, but I mean, that was what our game plan was. Like, we wanted to play everybody tonight.
Front row on the left.
Hey, Coach. Just now, Caitlin was saying that tonight it was because she had the 4 fouls. You had to rest her a little bit, but she was saying it might be nicer to not have to play quite as much as she did in college. But given how she started and how she finished, do you feel like maybe the rest, being on the floor, maybe benefits her more? Or are you how do you balance that out?
Yeah, well, that's just learning her, and I know that it got to a point early in the first quarter where she was gassed and she asked for a sub. That was awesome for her to do. A lot of players will try to fight through that. I've got to recognize that sooner before she gets to that point, because if I keep letting her get to that point, fourth quarter, she's going to lose her legs. So just got to, it's just a learning process, learning her, learning the rest of our team, and finding out who's playing well in which rotations.
Front row on the left there, sir.
Coach, obviously there's so much expected of her, and she's used to it. Is there anything that you have talked about with your staff to try to make this transition a little bit easier for her so she doesn't feel like she's got to do everything and be everywhere and be perfect and all that, or is that just something that she's going to have to do?
No, I think that's kind of where we've had those conversations with her a lot. We're able to put some really good players around her, that she doesn't have to work as hard. I think one of the things that I talked about during the game, and it's tough in the middle of the game, but once you realize that you become a good screener, you're going to get open, you're going to have some really, really good open shots. So that was one thing we were talking about in the game. But again, we're 5 days into this. We're 5 days in with a new point guard with Caitlin, just trying to figure it out as well. And Dallas wasn't going to let her have anything easy as well, But she does expect a lot out of herself, and that's awesome. But she also has to know that we've got her back, and we're going to do what we can to help her out so she doesn't feel that way, because she doesn't have to.
Chloe.
Just going off Caitlin asking for a sub, she's obviously playing a much more physical game now than she was in college. Just how did you see her work through that physicality tonight?
Yeah, I think she got to the point where she was just completely gassed. Like when she looked over me, I thought I was going to have to go grab her and help her get to the sideline right there at the end of the first. But, we have to do better. Like, we can't let her get to that point. She just won't be able to last. And the way people are guarding her, I mean, she's seeing a red, which is a double team. She's seeing hard hedges. Like, they're being real physical with her. That's how it's going to be for her. And so we've got to make sure we're doing what we can to protect her. So she's able to go in the fourth at the same level she is in the first.
Hey, Coach, one more. It seemed like the last play was set up, designed for her to get that last shot. How much do you expect to put her in that position, trying to hit those killer last second game winners? Yeah,
I mean, she's a player that has ice in her veins. I mean, like Arike was 0 for 6 from the 3, and then she hits, the game winner. But it's, you know, we'll have Kelsey Mitchell out there who has that same ability, and that just changes how people guard you. I mean, you know, when you have several options who can get a 3 off in 3 seconds, you know, we'll have some different options to look at once Kelsey's on the floor with her, and so it'll be different. But I mean, yeah, I mean that's who she is, right? Like she's someone who's confident that she's gonna make those shots.
And we got last one in the second row there.
You mentioned this, Caitlin also mentioned this regarding the physicality. Do you see yourself using her in more off-ball screening so that she can be open without having to create off dribble?
100%. Like we started running some elbow actions where we were into some split games, and she was standing some when, you know, waiting, because that's what she's used to, when she gave it up to one of our elbow posts. So that's what we try to explain. Like when you set hard screens, like you will get open if you are a good screen setter. So just learning like things that she's not done before.
Yeah, I'd say our energy was high throughout the whole game. You know, our focus in the first half was just to keep pushing the ball. And in the second half, we kind of wanted to execute a little bit more. But I'd say throughout the whole game, we kind of had high energy and we executed well.
Yeah, I would say the same. I thought we played with really good pace. I thought our defense was pretty good. But other than that, like there's a lot of good to take away from it. I think at the same time, like it's a preseason game, so don't get too disappointed by it. Just go back, watch the film, learn from it, and you know, get ready for our next one.
Hey Caitlin, your fans showed up and showed out tonight. How did that make you feel hearing them and seeing them tonight?
Yeah, I think the fans are they're what makes women's basketball so fun. I think over the course of the last couple of years, it's just grown and grown, and you know, for them to come out and support during my first WNBA game is really special, not only for myself, but you know, both teams on the court. They get to see how good this product is, and I mean, you couldn't ask for a better game, really, for women's basketball, like to kick off this year, like just a tremendous game coming down to the wire, both teams competing, and you know, that's going to be the story of the entire year.
Caitlin, as you, over here in the back, hey, as you continue to make your transition into the professional ranks, there will be these moments where you have opportunities to learn. And without going into the minutia of looking at the film and anything, was there something that you have already picked out of tonight, something that you learned tonight?
I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot. I think, I don't know. I mean, it comes down to every single possession. I think that's the biggest thing is like, when you're on the court with this much talent, like you can't take a second off. You know, you relax for 1 second and they're going to beat you on a screen, they're going to beat you on a whatever it is. I think that's the biggest thing is like you cannot relax in this league for 1 second. So I think getting used to that, just playing hard every single second. But yeah, I think overall we did a really good job, played everybody, you know, executed. I thought we could have done a little bit better job, slowed it down a little bit in the second half and got into our sets a little better. But overall, like we ran the floor really, really well.
Caitlin, not the outcome you wanted, right here, sorry. Not the outcome you wanted, but still your first pro game. What will you remember most about tonight?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think just the atmosphere and like getting to put on your jersey for the first time for a real game is something that's super special. I think, you know, I remember my first game in college really well. I think I'll remember my first game in the W really well, whether it's this preseason game or whether it's our first game at Connecticut. I think it's just, you know, it's a big milestone for somebody that's always dreamed of playing in the WNBA.
Caitlin, you scored 21 points in 28 minutes. In spite of the loss, the defense was draping you. I wonder, how are you able to exploit the matchup?
I thought our pick and roll was really good. I thought we could even got more pick and roll stuff. I thought I came off screens well, and my teammates found me for some good looks. But yeah, I think those were kind of the biggest things is came off screens well. I think at times I don't need to dribble it so much, just move the ball, reverse the ball, and set and use screens a little better. I think that'll help me conserve some of my energy a little bit better. But I think those are probably the biggest things.
Got the front left here.
Quick question for you. Watching you play this game and then your last games at Iowa, this didn't seem that much different. Did it feel and flow the same way for you when you were at Iowa just a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I think the biggest transition is just the physicality. You know, everybody's super physical. It doesn't always get called, so I would say that's the biggest thing. I think, 1 through 5 or every single person on every roster that we're going to play is so talented. I mean, the talent level is obviously very different than in college, so getting used to that, no matter who subs into the game, it's not really anybody you can ever relax off of, because that's how competitive this league is. Like, people are just too good for that. So, I mean, I think my biggest goal coming into tonight was continue to be myself, have fun playing basketball, be aggressive. Thought that's what I did. So I think a lot to be proud of.
Second row on the right here. Chloe.
Yeah, Caitlin, I was about to ask you, I know you said earlier today you consider this a successful outing if you stayed true to yourself and your game. Like, how do you think you did that tonight?
I thought I did pretty well. I thought I could have definitely taken care of the ball a little bit better. I think all of us could have done a better job with that, too many turnovers. That's what Coach told us after the game. But overall, I think I played really hard. I think I, executed. I think there's going to be a lot to go back to the film and look at and learn from, because a lot of it is kind of different from college, just from, technique standpoint or, scheme standpoint of what we do. It's not always going to be the same. So I think those are the biggest things. But I think overall, I came in here and just played really hard, and, that's always something you can be proud of.
We got second row on the left.
Questions from Melissa. Could you just speak about the team chemistry? I mean, you guys seem very seamless out there.
Oh yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, like I said, we all are pulling for each other, and we have one big goal this year, and that's just to do better than we did last year and just to make the playoffs. So I feel like when your team is on the same page, it makes it easy for us to play.
We got back row on the right.
Yeah, Melissa, it feels like, just a second ago you were playing at Baylor, but at this point you're really one of the more veteran players on this team. Just how are you settling into that role?
I mean, it's my 3rd year, so I've had a lot of time to adjust to this league, and I feel like I'm finally getting comfortable, and I feel like it's going to show more on the floor.
We got third row on the right there. Alexa, go ahead.
Caitlin, earlier on in the game, you had a step back 3 over Natasha Howard, and then kind of towards the end, she had that block on you. Can you just kind of walk us through both those plays and just, I don't know if you thought of it as a welcome to the W moment or just, good play by her?
Yeah, I think in the first half, got a switch, 1-4 switch, and I think, was just able to get a step back 3 on her. And honestly, she played really good defense and contesting it pretty well. And then there in the 4th, I'm pretty sure the shot clock was winding down, so I either had to shoot a mid-range jump shot or drive in, and she was kind of over and helped defense and just made a good play on the ball. And yeah, I mean, lucky enough we were able to get the ball back with 2 seconds, and we didn't run the cleanest play, but yeah, I mean, she just made a good play on the ball.
We got front row on the left here.
Hey, Caitlin, one more question about an individual play. I know not too long ago you were playing against JC in the Big Ten, and you had that moment where she kind of lost her footing and you hit that 3-pointer. Can you just kind of talk about maybe what that experience was like for you hitting that shot?
Yeah, I think it was a good play. Honestly, she played pretty good defense. Yeah, but I think, it's always fun to see people that you go up against in college and come to the league and have great success. I mean, obviously she was 2 for 2 for tonight, made both her shots, both threes. She's a really good player. She takes care of the ball well. Yeah, I think she'll be a really good asset for them all year long, but she's physical. She's a pesky defender. I think she was on the Big Ten all-defensive team every year that I was at Iowa, so happy for her, excited for her, and I know it was fun for her and Celeste to go up against each other.
The front row on the right here.
Caitlin, you said pregame that you wanted to soak in the environment in your first professional game. Just that first 3, when you caught the ball and you were open, just what's going through your mind when you hit that shot and you hear such a loud ovation in a road game?
Yeah, I think it's fun. We ran a good baseline out of bounds play, and they got a little confused on it, and I was able to get a pretty clean look for my first shot, so it's always nice to see your first shot go in as a shooter. But honestly, when you're running up and down and you're in the game, you don't hear the roar of the crowd. But the crowd was great all night. That's what you would expect with a sellout. Those are going to be the crowds all year long. So whether they're cheering for you or cheering against you, you better get used to it. And it's always just a fun environment to play in.
Okay, we got time for 2 more. Starting back on the left.
Caitlin, Fran Harris, I know it was the first game, preseason game, but you were not on the floor the entire time. What do you think the adjustment is going to be now that there's a possibility that you might leave the floor? I watched most of your career, and whether you had 3 fouls or 4 fouls, you never left the floor. What do you think that experience is going to be like, and have you prepared for that?
Yeah, I think it's honestly, it's probably going to be nice. I think I can, you know, play a lot harder when I'm in. And, you know, at Iowa, like, I had to find moments within the game to, like, reset and take a break, whether that was on offense or defense. So, you know, we have so much talent on our roster. I don't need to play 40 minutes. And I think that's going to allow me to, when I'm in the game, to produce an even better product and play even harder when I'm in. And I think that'll still be like a learning thing for me, is like, you know, you don't have to dribble and create everything for yourself. Like, use screens, like, use your teammates. So I think that'll be an adjustment over the course of the first couple weeks and first couple months for myself.
Last one in the back row.
For Melissa, she just mentioned it's going to be sellout crowds. It's going to be like this all year round. It was a preseason game. How do you guys, as teammates, as a family, approach what's going to be coming up here in this entire season?
I mean, I feel like we just approach it with poise. You know, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. At the end of the day, we're here to play basketball, you know, regardless of who's in the stands. So we just got to come and do our job. But it's going to be exciting to be playing in front of all these fans.